The toll of 58-year-old Charles Jemfi pays off as he wins the 2019 National Best Farmer.
It is a happy occasion for all farmers in Ghana. I will mobilize all of us to work hard in ensuring the progress of this nation.
President Akufo-Addo describes as unacceptable the over $2 billion used by the country to import food, promising his government will reverse the trend.
We must eat what we grow to motivate our farmers and support the development of the local food industry.
Rice campaign drives up interest, but high cost of keeping them on the shelves as rice producers continue to lament post-harvest losses.
Many people have been coming here, showing interest in the Ghanaian rice.
Now, the local one is too expensive, so they can't buy it.
Coming up in business, best farmer for La Quantana Madina municipality urges government to make poultry feed more affordable to help bridge the supply gap.
And later in the bulletin, NCCE boss Josephine Nkrumah demands immediate probe into the latest CDD research that uncovers aggressive establishment of community-based vigilante groups ahead of the 2020 elections.
Because we have a law, I think the law enforcement agencies, particularly the Ghana Police Service, have the full backing of that law now to act.
We have details of all these and more coming up in the next 2 hours. I'm Ernest Menu. Stay with us. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. Let's settle for the details now. The sweat and toil of 58-year-old Charles Jemfi paid off today when he was adjudged the 2019 National Best Farmer in the Volta Regional Capital home. The secondary school leaver, who has been farming for 25 years, has been described as very diverse in both crop and animal farming. The best of he beat off competition from 10 other farmers. Now, for his prize, he was given property and farm inputs worth 536,000 Ghana cedis.
It is a happy occasion for all farmers in Ghana. I will mobilize all of us to work hard in ensuring the progress of this nation. Let me use this opportunity to thank the President of the Republic, agricultural authorities, Minister of Agric, and all executives who have seen to making this event a successful one. I make myself available to any consultations on farming that authorities deem fit. The mantle has moved from Bono to Ahafo. Congratulations to us all. The new regions are winning. We thank the President. Perhaps without the creation of the new ones, I may not have received this honor.
Thank you very much.
The National Farmers and Fishermen Day was instituted in 1988 to honor and celebrate the contribution of farmers to food security and national development. The NPP government, upon assumption in 2017, rolled key interventions to stimulate growth in the sector. Programs like the Planting and Rearing for Food and Jobs, among others, are seen as positive modules revamping the sector. But Food and Agriculture Minister Dr. Owusu-Efiri Yakoto said despite the successes, the sector's biggest threat is climate change.
The other major factor is the climate change. Climate change is today the single biggest threat to agricultural development. All over the world, the unpredictability of weather patterns is affecting productivity. and the livelihoods of many a farmer. Climate change adaptability has therefore become integral to planning and investments in the agricultural sector. The solution to this menace lies in smart agriculture. In our efforts to transform agriculture, it has become imperative to provide for advanced systems of technology to achieve the needed resilience in the wake of a climate change threat. It is our expectation that the needed budgetary support will be given to the ministry to help create the necessary awareness and the needed state of preparedness against the negative impact of climate change.
President Akufo-Addo has described as unacceptable the over $2 billion used by the country to import food. He said the government wants to reverse the trend. The rice glut experience a few weeks ago rekindled the need for the country to patronize local produce. President Akufo-Addo said warehouses are being constructed across the country to address post-harvest losses. He also indicated his personal resolve to eat locally produced rice.
Swift intervention of the two institutions, following I'm happy to note that through the coordination of the activities of stakeholders, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has put in place measures to avert losses to farmers and processors. It is heartening, though, to hear for a change about excess rice production in Ghana. We are breaking through. Government, through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, has imported milling machinery for rice, maize, and soya from China and Brazil, which are expected to arrive by the middle of next year. This will surely provide appreciable relief to farmers and boost the grain industry. I must hasten to add that the success of government's efforts in ensuring self-sufficiency in rice production depend largely on the level of consumption of local rice. We must eat what we grow to motivate our farmers and support the development of the local food industry. Indeed, Rebecca, my beautiful wife, our First Lady, insists that we eat local rice at home and has made sure of this. I call on all Ghanaians to follow my example and eat local rice. Let me assure all and sundry, the government will continue to prioritize and support agriculture to make the sector one of the most viable major driving forces of Ghana's economic development and transformation.
Higher cost of Ghanaian produced rice relative to imported ones is holding back sales. A recent national campaign has driven up interest in Ghanaian rice, but cost is one of the many factors that is keeping them on the shelves as local rice producers continue to lament post-harvest losses in the midst of a bumper harvest. Here's a report by John News' Justice Bedu.
In the valleys of Sandema, in the Upper East region, rice farmers are hard at work. The year has been good. There's been a bumper harvest, but farmers are not sure who will buy or where to keep them.
You produce no market. They buy it at ridiculously low prices. Can you imagine they take 3 bags of this and fill 2 bags? So it means like buy 2, I give you 1 free.
Back in Accra, brisk business in one of the country's biggest markets, Makola. Mama Akusia has been selling rice here for 30 years. She thought this was going to be a good year for sales, but that hasn't happened. has stocked Ghanaian produced rice, despite the interest, has been slow in selling.
Many people have been coming here, showing interest in the Ghanaian rice. They actually want to buy, but complain that we will sell imported rice for 2 cedis or 2 cedis 50 pesos and sell local rice for 3 cedis.
2 cedis 50 pesos. Now they will say 3 cedis.
Lydia Bako, she too a grains seller in this market for 3 decades running, has stopped stocking Ghanaian grown rice. The cost, she says, eats into her capital.
Nowadays, the local one is too expensive, so they can't buy it. That's our main problem. Able to buy it.
So, how does it affect you, the businesswomen, the price when it goes up like that?
When it goes up like that, we can't sell it. Then the business fall.
Stories like these are part of the reasons why the Federation of Peasant Farmers are unhappy, even in the midst of this year's Farmers' Day celebrations.
The farmer himself has to produce this rice. He has to make effort to try and process it. He has to make effort to try and market it. That is where the challenge is. It leads to inefficiency, and it also leads to added cost to the farmer, and it leads to, unprofitability.
Government's new Planting for Food and Jobs policy seems to have seen more investments into farming itself and less into sales, processing, and storage. The country's battle with post-harvest losses continues, and its farmers, more than anyone else, are the ones paying the price. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Accra.
Now, the Etrima-Kwanema Rural Bank has joined the national campaign to promote the consumption of locally produced rice. Officials are also promising financial support to local farmers who venture into cultivation of the crop. Board chairman of the bank, Patrick Owusu, tells Joy News Ghanaians owe it a duty to provide ready markets for local farmers for growth of the industry. My colleague Ohemin Teria has more in the following report.
34-year-old Abdul Rahman Hakim was chosen as the overall best farmer in the one municipality of the Upper West region over 29 others. He hails from Tabiasi and married with 7 children. He has 235-acre farm where he cultivated cowpea, maize and pepper.
Kwangoma Rural Bank has over the years extended facilities to farmers in its catchment area in a bid to increase production. The Ghana Club 100 member has also been consistent in supporting the National Farmers' Day celebrations both at the national and district levels. Board Chairman Patrick Owusu assured farmers of the bank's continued commitment to the cause of farmers. He says the campaign for consumption of locally grown rice will ultimately keep farmers in business. Mr. Owusu spoke to Joy News at the presentation of television sets, refrigerators, spraying machines, Wellington booths to 5 districts and municipalities. At Etrima-Kwangoma, Amansia West and South districts, as well as Oforikrom and Otafo municipalities are beneficiaries.
No production without market can thrive. So, if we do not create the necessary market for our local rice farmers, the industry cannot grow. So, we have to consume our own rice, thereby creating the market for the farmers, for investors, and for banks. So the need to consume local rice is paramount. It's very, very necessary. We can't produce only for it to go waste, for farmers to feel glut, so that they become disappointed, dejected, and cannot pay back the loans that they've taken from the banks. So if we want to see our agriculture, especially rice cultivation, of which government is spending huge sum of our scarce foreign exchange in importing. If you want to cater that, you have to consume local rice for farmers, to encourage farmers to grow more for national development. So we are in full support.
Meanwhile, the bank has handed over a 3-unit classroom block to the Samensha Krom DA Basic School in Amansia West District. From Kumasi for Joy News, reporting.
Now in the Upper West region, 30 farmers were awarded at the one municipal event of the National Farmers Day held at Boli. 34-year-old Abdul Rahman Hakim was chosen ahead of 29 other farmers. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Boli in the Wa municipality.
34-year-old Abdul Rahman Hakim was chosen as the overall best farmer in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region over 29 others. He hails from Tabiasi and married with 7 children. He has 235-acre farm where he cultivated cowpea, maize and pepper. For his award, he was given tricycle motorcane, 2 bags of fertilizer, knapsack sprayer, a pair of Wellington boot, glove, machete, radio and certificate. Second position went to 45-year-old Mahmoud Qasim. He has 34 cows, 42 goats, 21 sheep, and has a maize farm. He was given a Howdy motorbike, 1 bag of fertilizer, knapsack sprayer, a pair of Wellington boot, glove, machete, radio and certificate. The best female farmer in the Wa municipality went to Farida Abdul Wahab, who hails from Jonga. She was given a Logia motorbike, 1 bag of fertilizer, knapsack sprayer, pair of Wellington boot, glove, machete, radio and a certificate. Wa Mayor Isakutai Mumin spoke of the havoc caused by the indiscriminate burning of bushes after the farming season, urging farmers and residents in the Wa municipality to desist from that.
Let me reiterate that so long as indiscriminate and bush burning continue to be with us, we would have to live with the negative consequences which often outweighs the benefits. Lives are sometimes lost, not to talk of destruction to the vegetation cover and property. The forest cover continues to decline and posterity will not forgive us if we do not put a stop to this reckless path to self-destruction that we as a people are embarking on.
There was also space for the Upper West Regional Technical Coordinator of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dramani Yakubu, to deliver a speech on behalf of the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission.
The current data indicates that there are over 4,165 persons living with HIV in the Upper West region. 248 newly infected as of 2018. Just 1 year, 248 get infected. 176 age-related deaths. And there are currently 1,746 people living with HIV who are on medication in the Upper West region. And this is just only 41% of the prevalence in the region. Consequently, the Upper West region is off track in achieving our global target of meeting the 1990 target.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Boli.
Still on Farmers' Day celebration, the mayor of Accra, Mohammed Nia Jaisoa, is worried the continued takeover of farmlands for housing purposes in the city poses a serious threat to food security in the country's capital.
The 35th Farmers and Fishermen's Day celebration, which is Christian enhancing small-scale agriculture towards agribusiness development, perfectly fits into urban agric. As a result of urbanization, a lot of people have moved into the city looking for space to put up structures, consequently reducing our farm size. It is in this regard that the Department of Agri within the Accra Metropolitan Assembly is encouraging backyard farming, livestock, and fisheries where we have competitive advantage. Chairman, backyard farming has become so significant to supplement the inflows of farm food products from the hinterland. It is also important because you get access to natural, raw, and fresh farm products for use by yourself.
Now, challenges in the agriculture sector range from high cost of inputs to lack of access to market. In spite of the hurdles, a young man in Kumasi is making progress in fish farming after giving up his profession as a telecommunications engineer. Lawrence Kuma is challenging university graduates to look to farming as a serious business to create wealth. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
Initially, or let me see, at the beginning when I got into the catfish, I started with only 1,005 fingerlings, and one thing is I was just making a try, and after harvest, I got to know that I spent only 8,000 on the 1,500 fingerlings, but the profit was 7,000. So I got to know, no, then I think I have to invest more into the catfish.
Meet 35-year-old Lawrence from Tafo Estates in Old Tafo Municipality, who took what many will consider a difficult decision to quit engineering into fish farming.
At the beginning, I thought it was one of the interest. It was one of my interest subjects, and before I was doing electronics, and before I got into the telecom engineering. But when I came into fisheries, before I realized I shouldn't have wasted my time. If I had started early into the fisheries, I have gone far than as I am now today. If you really want to be a farmer, when I was at that age, your parents wouldn't advise you to be into the farming because they thought farming wasn't a good job. But I can tell you, farming is one of the best jobs.
Lawrence, who graduated from the Ghana Telecommunication University, knew little about fish farming at the time he decided to venture into it. Lawrence is making a mark as an upcoming fish farmer.
If I stock, anytime I stock 2,000, I normally spend about sometimes 15,000 Ghana cedis on them. And after harvest, I used to get 30,000 or 35,000 Ghana cedis every harvest. I normally harvest every 6 months. Yeah.
So every 6 months you harvest and you get about the profit of how much?
A profit of 20,000 cedis every 6 months. Yeah. So within a year, meaning I will be getting 40,000, but I will use that 20,000 as an expense for paying my workers and other expenses. Yeah.
For Lawrence, fish farming was the best for him at the time he breathed the idea of venturing into agriculture. The trained engineer has no regret changing course because he is reaping the fruits. Challenges abound in such an enterprise, but Lawrence has conditioned himself to meet them as they come.
Yeah, at my initial stage, the challenges I faced was when I, after constructing the ponds, bought the fingerlings, bought the fish feed. The fingerlings I bought were about 7,000 fingerlings, and I needed more than what the money left to feed the fish. So at that stage, if you don't feed them properly, the growth normally don't go on well properly. So I had to find strategic way of feeding them by using the locally fish, and although I couldn't make through, but it was okay. After the challenges, the challenges were there. I couldn't get much after harvest because the more you feed them, the more your profit. So I lost a lot And then the type of fingerlings too I stocked that time, they were hybrid. So the bigger ones were feeding on the smaller ones. I didn't know about sorting, and after harvest, the number of fishes I was having was very less, and this was really a loss.
What happened to them? Did they die, and how much did you lose from that?
They didn't die, but the bigger ones were feeding on the smaller ones, simply because I did not sort them. Because when you stock fish, it gets to a time like 2 months, 3 months. Every 2 months, you need to sort them. You sort them, you bring the smaller ones from the bigger ones, you group them into sizes, so that each when they are of the same size, they cannot feed on the other.
So how much did you lose from that?
Okay, after I quite remember, I spent 30,000 constructing the fish pond at the early stage, and after harvest, the money I had was about, I got only 10,000 Ghana cedis, which wasn't enough, but I'd never lose hope. I tried to push on, and before I started with tilapia, and at times when they were about 5 months, when I come, I could see about 200 fishes floating, and so I realized it was from the water. And tilapia, normally they always need clean water. They are not like catfish. So after those challenges, I make research, and I got to know about catfish. And but with catfish, they don't die like tilapia. When
in health or in sickness, he is resolute in growing, he says, to the glory of God.
You're watching the Farmers' Day edition of Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Minu. Still ahead in the bulletin, NCCE boss Josephine Nkrumah demands immediate probe into the latest CDD research that uncovered aggressive establishment of community-based vigilante groups ahead of the 2020 elections.
Because we have a law, I think the law enforcement agencies, particularly the Ghana Police Service, have the full backing of that law now to act.
We have details after the break. Please stay with us. Let's bring you some other stories here on Joy News Prime. Chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Josephine Nkrumah, is demanding a police probe into Center for Democratic Development latest survey uncovering the aggressive establishment of community-based vigilante groups in part of the country. The report, which was commissioned by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, also revealed that vigilantism has now become a business venture and women are playing active roles in it. The NCCE boss, in an interview with Joy News, observed the police has the backing of the law and must move in quickly to crack the whip on the grounds that have been identified, the groups that have been identified in the report.
To hear at this point in time that, these vigilante groups are actively pursuing the establishment of bases in communities, it's a most worrying trend of events. But because we have a law, I think the law enforcement agencies, particularly the Ghana Police Service, have the full backing of that law now to act. Once we have uncovered it, it is important that investigations begin immediately to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of this survey, and begin to implement the law fully so that it serves as a deterrent. Obviously, these people are aware that 2020 is around the corner. They are already selling their commodity of violence. We cannot allow this to happen in this country. 2020, how many years we've had peaceful elections? Of course, we've had skirmishes. And in the last couple of years, we've realized that vigilantism is growing. And that is why the national discourse and the narrative was so amplified, and everybody got on board to condemn this. So we cannot allow our political parties to continue to benefit from the commodity of violence. We urge the parties, if they have links to this, to take immediate steps to, arrest this situation. We need to sit at the table and dialogue. Today we are here talking about peace. How do we talk about peace today when this is going on in our backyard?
President Akufo-Addo is confident in the ability of the Ghana Armed Forces to quell any attempt by external forces to destabilize the country. He however wants special collaboration between the Defense, Interior, Foreign and Finance Ministries to maintain robust front in defending the country. The president made the appeal when he presented a number of vehicles to the Ghana Armed Forces in fulfillment of a pledge he made to them earlier this year.
Government is consistently kept apprised of the needs of the armed forces. And as your Commander-in-Chief, I'm taking steps to ensure that your needs are met. We recognize that our vision of ensuring equitable distribution of development, progress and prosperity to all parts of the country can only be made possible in an atmosphere of peace and security. We're determined to continue in this vein and meet the needs of the armed forces. I commend you for your outstanding performances in the recent joint security operation Kwandungu and in the ongoing Operation Conquered Fist, which are intended to create a secure, peaceful atmosphere at the northwestern, northern, and northeastern borders of the country. I urge you to continue to collaborate with the Ministries of National Security, Interior, Foreign Affairs, Finance, and with the Ghana Revenue Authority, as well as all relevant agencies, to help maintain a resolute, robust front that will deter potential aggressors from having any thoughts of attempting to destabilize our country or derail the socio-economic gains we have chalked so far.
Defense Minister Dominic Nitti will update the president on ongoing works in the various barracks.
Your wish to modernize the Ghana Armed Forces knows no bounds. And Mr. President, permit me just to take a few minutes of your time to mention just but a few of the achievements that you chalked over the last 3 years, 36 months of the 48 months of your presidency. Mr. President, the first action you undertook when you took over the mantle of Ghana and became the Commander-in-Chief was to increase the UN peacekeeping operations end dollar from $30 to $35 since January 2017 and instruct that all payments should be done at duty post, that's the operational theater. And since then, Mr. President, that has been the case. Mr. President, you also instructed that all arrears that were owed to the peacekeeping men and women of our nation and under the peacekeeping operation be paid. Mr. President, that was also done. Mr. President, you instructed that we complete and commission the new military cemetery at Bema Camp. Mr. President, I'm happy to report that it's been done. Mr. President, you also instructed that the officers must have a command mess. Mr. President, 80% of the SNIT housing project for the Ghana Armed Forces that were started and has stalled since 2007 has been completed. We hope the other 20% will be completed.
Now, the people of Tatindo in the Tatale-Sangli district of the northern region are worried about how people continue to lose their lives in their bid to cross a dam constructed under the One Village, One Dam project for the community. They also fear that the poor quality of dam constructed will not be able to hold water during the dry season for their gardening. Northern Region correspondent Martina Bugri has more.
It was built to offer the people of Tatindo the opportunity to farm during the dry season. This meant that people could be employed all year round to check rural-urban migration during the dry season, as well as improve upon the income of the people. But the residents have described the work done as shoddy. Mensa Makiti Charles said it's an effort in vain because the water would not last. He said 3 people have died already trying to cross the dam.
The government
those who have come to construct this, our dam. The dam actually will never help us because the water is running away. And the main purpose for them digging was for dry season farming. And it wouldn't help us because the water is running away. And within this year that they've dug, and 3 people have died inside. And many people were going to fall inside, and many people were able to capture them because the dam, we don't have the bridge. The bridge is not there for people to cross. We are appealing to the contractor who have constructed this to come and make the bridge for us so that it will save people's life, and we also be happy. And the dam to the water is running loss.
Okay. So have died. What happened? What happened in the Godra?
The main reason was that they were to cross, and because of there is no bridge, we have made some local bridge, and they were to cross. So water just pushed them away, and they lost their life.
What was the challenge in crossing to the other side?
Actually, it was very difficult for us to cross. And we forced them, they came and did this, and it didn't help us. So we, the local people, we came and did this for ourselves.
Okay, so if it was difficult already for you, why do you then say that it is the dam that has caused that?
Actually, when the dam wasn't there at all, when we were crossing, it was helping us more than what they did for now.
Kibika Nimwak said the water used to stay longer whilst in the past, but with what they have done under the 1V, 1D, the water would not last.
I think it was dug just for inhabitants of this community to at least reduce poverty through farming in the dry season. But it has tended to be the opposite because it has been poorly constructed. And in fact, much particularly is about the depth and other things. In fact, the road they've constructed so that we can pass through the dam is very poor. It is, in fact, a shoddy work. They've done nothing, and they need to sit up on that. They have to come and do something about it because when it was there formerly, at least we used to get some water, but what they have done has made the water flow away. No water is staying anymore in the dam. So we are beseeching them to come to our aid. In fact, the dam has tended to become a place of danger because this year it has claimed a lot of lives. About 3 people have died. So we are pleading on the government or whoever is responsible for the digging of this dam to come to our aid.
Nyamanum Kweku, who spoke in Konkomba, said the dam will not help them. He said it's a threat to the lives of the people.
That will not help us. Just this rainy season, many people died. 3 people that lost their lives. Old ladies, even strong men, they can't walk. When they come here, the water is threatening their lives. Look at the way they've constructed the thing. We were expecting them to construct it in a way that we can use it for dry farming. But looking at it, in fact, it will not reach anywhere. We are going to suffer, and we are suffering. In fact, we need them to come and help us. Whoever that business to come back and do it well for us. We are suffering. It was supposed to save us, but we are suffering.
The chief of Sanguli, Obor, John Gabuja Kumayi, said the road through which the dam was constructed is the main road linking the community to Zabzugo, and so they are unable to cross. He said foodstuffs are locked up on the other side of the river because no vehicle can move to bring the farm produce.
About the dam, they contracted the dam which is linking to Zabzugo. It's our main route here linking to Zabzugo, Tatundo to Yachudo to Zabzugo. That is where we normally pass the shortcut to Zabzugo. And the way the dam is contracted, when they were to start, they told us a bridge is going to be constructed after the construction of the dam.
After the construction of the dam, the contractor told us that the bridge is not part of his work. And that is our main reason. Some of our farms are over the river. We can't carry our foodstuff. As at now, a lot of people foodstuff cannot be carried through to the market because no vehicle, no motorbike can cross there because of the water.
Well, and that's it for Joy News Prime. Thank you so much for your company. You can log on to myjoyonline.com. We have so many stories there. You can see the maiden edition of the Joy Corporate Worship for those of you who missed it. And you can read more about our best farmer for this year. My name is Ernest Minu. Thanks for your company.